Hi, this is Mr. Rutherford. In this problem, we will learn to graph a polynomial function. Graph the polynomial function f of x equals negative x cubed plus x squared plus x minus 1 by making a table of values. So it instructs us here in this problem to graph the polynomial function that's given, and we need to do so by making a table of values. In order to make a table of values, we need to pick some values for x, which will be our inputs. So let's choose some. I'm going to choose negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. The reason I chose these numbers is if we look at this graph here, notice that our x-axis has not too many units to the right, but we have 5 units to the right, so I couldn't pick a number bigger than 5, and it's the same to the left. Notice we have 5 units to the left, so I couldn't pick a number smaller than negative 5. So here we have both sides of the origin. So let's substitute these values into our function. So we have our function f of x, so we'll substitute negative 3 in for x. So f of negative 3 is equal to negative 3 cubed plus negative 3 squared plus negative 3 minus 1. When we evaluate this, f of negative 3 is equal to positive 32. So we'll write that here in the f of x column. Next, we'll substitute negative 2 in for x. So we have f of negative 2 is equal to negative 2 cubed plus negative 2 squared plus negative 2 minus 1. And when we evaluate that, f of negative 2 is equal to 9. So we'll do the same thing for the rest of the values. Negative 1, when substituted in for x, will give us an f of x value of 0. 0 corresponds to negative 1. 1 will correspond to 0. 2 corresponds to negative 3. And 3 corresponds to negative 16. Notice here on our f of x column, we have a fairly large number in 32 and a fairly small number in negative 16. Notice that 32 will not fit on our f of x axis, nor will negative 16. So what we'll need to do is to adjust our scale with each increment. So what I'm going to do on the x-axis is make each increment 1. So I'm going to label just the 2 and the 4, and then we'll have negative 2 and negative 4. I didn't write them all out so that won't clutter the x-axis. For the f of x, however, we'll need to go by larger increments. Let's go by 4s. So that'll make our second increment here 8. So we have 4, 8, 12, then 16. And again, I'm not writing all of these so I don't clutter the graph. Then we'll have 20, 24, 28, 32, and 32 is the largest, so that will help us fit that on our graph. Then below, here we'll have negative 8, and then negative 12, and then negative 16. And notice our smallest f of x value is negative 16, so it will fit on our graph. So let's plot these points. First we have negative 3, 32. So left 3 units and up 32. Then negative 2, 9. 9 is going to be between 8 and 12, but closer to 8. Then we have negative 1, 0, which will be on the x-axis. Then 0, negative 1. Remember our increments here are 4. negative 1 is much closer to 0 than it is negative 4. Then we have 1, 0. 2, negative 3. Negative 3 is very close to negative 4. And then finally we have 3, negative 16. Now we need to connect these dots with a nice smooth, curved line. Like so. And we'll put arrows on either end. So now you've learned to graph a polynomial function using a table of values.